All right, we are live. We are live. This is the Real Sports Fan Podcast. Back for another episode. It is Monday, June the 7th, 2021. And after a week off, we are back for the second half of the season. Very excited for my next guest, guy I've known for a long time. Reconnected on Facebook, seeing a lot of the positive stuff he's doing in the community. So I definitely want to give him his flowers now and get into all he's doing on in Salisbury and on the South Side, and also get into his career, his high school career as a dual sport athlete at WiHi. None other than TJ Bryant. TJ, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Lance, I appreciate you having me on.
You already know, man. Like I said, it's my honor, man, to have you. Like I said, I see you've been doing. I think you was on the radio. I seen you on there when Shore you first started, and I've been following you on Facebook and all the different things you're doing and motivating people and getting the kids a positive influence on the kids and all that stuff and in the community, man. So, I really just want to take this time to really, give you your flowers now while you can still smell them. Talk about the organization, talk about yourself, man, and also talk about some sports that's happening now, man. So I definitely appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Awesome, man. I'm excited about it, man. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So again, man, for everybody that's listening, this is a podcast where, we kind of tell stories and we kind of go back in time as well and kind of reminisce in a sense and talk about a lot of the things that, we've seen and been through, in sports or in life. And TJ is one of those guys where, we probably haven't even had a lot of conversations, but, it's one of those things where, when you know each other, it could be 20 years, and you see each other again, you just reconnect through that brotherhood, through sports and stuff like that, man. So, that's definitely one of the reasons I want to have TJ on here and all the dope stuff that he's doing. TJ, just starting off, man, just kind of introduce yourself for maybe some of the people that might not know you. Just give maybe a brief introduction of yourself and where you're from and all that good stuff.
My name is TJ Bryant. I'm from Salisbury, Maryland. Like Lance said, I went to WiHi, graduated class of 03. Still live in the area.
03, baby.
Yeah. Still live in the area, and I just enjoy working with the youth and trying to, give back, more or less.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that you're doing is giving back. And talk a little bit about how Shore you started. Because I know, you've been a part in the Salisbury area of other organizations and you've been helping out a long time, with the kids and things like that. So, talk a little bit about Shore you, what it is and how you started it.
Shore United is a travel football team, legit travel. We play a national schedule, and where it started, whether I knew it or not, was probably when I was about 13 or 14. But you know how it was. You were from the Eastern team, and everybody came to the Salvation Army. You would come with your city. You would come with your city. Mm-hmm. Like it'd be Eastern versus Salisbury. Pocomo got a team. But Coach King, Coach Walt Stevens, and Ray Moore switched it up a little bit, and they kind of picked and plucked the best players from everywhere and put us together and took us to compete. Same thing with football. We won a lot of high school state championships, but it's been a little while for football. I know Delmar, but we really don't count them too much when we're talking. That way. So for us, and I just kind of thought about it, it's like, nothing's wrong with playing locally, but until we tackle that national monster, our high schools won't, are going to suffer because they only get 4 years with these kids. We get 10, 8 to 10 in some cases. So it really starts with the youth. So I felt like it was important to kind of start from the ground up and take them to get national competition, because when they go to high school and they got to go across the bridge to get a state championship, it doesn't seem that much of a big of a deal because they've already been to Vegas, they've been to Cali, they've been to Florida, they've seen what real monsters look like. So that was really it, just seeing it was lacking for football for our area.
That says a lot about the seeds that were planted, like you said, at 13 years old. Now, again, happy birthday. You celebrated his 36th birthday on Saturday. So now at 36, like you said, and obviously you started this before that, but that vision was still there. How did it all come about? Because, it's one thing to have the thought, but it's another thing to put these things in motion. So, talk about a little bit about how you got it started. Some people along the way that, helped you. I see you got a great coaching staff, great support, obviously, with your wife. I see you brought on, got the cheerleaders coming in the fall and all that, man. I've been peeping that out, man. So talk a little bit about that.
Really, the cheerleading thing was big. It was big not just for giving the boys something to do. It was having the right group of women to lead that group there. So I felt like that was important to me. And shout out to Trey McCready as well, our president, who's been awesome with it. It was really just that the parents actually got me into starting this because I lived in Georgia for 5 years, from like about 19 to 24. I lived in Georgia, Augusta.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm going to work. I'm playing arena ball. I'm going to work and stuff like that. And I'm seeing like 6-year-olds out at 6 o'clock running with weighted book bags. And so I'm seeing these things. And I'm like, I didn't start doing this till my senior year in high school. And I'm realizing that you got to start early. So like seeing things like that and then coming back and I didn't care who you played for. So I was trying to get all the kids training. That was partly why I never charged for it, because I always wanted the kids to benefit. But it was really the parents. It's like, look, man, can you get your own team? Like, just be, and so that was really it, just having that push from them.
Yeah, and that says a lot, man. When you have parents backing you, it's one thing you want to do it yourself. When you have parents back you, say, hey, can you do this? I think it'd be a great idea. That's awesome. And I like a couple of the points you made, because one point being, you talked about the Salvation Army. Like you said, that's where, me and you met. And I mean, honestly, all the relationships, that I had with the South guys is started at the Salvation Army, so that's the crazy thing. Like now, go ahead. Yeah.
And with the Salvation Army, and I always tell people, it was two people that I hated covering. I love playing defense. Anybody can score, but when you take somebody that scores out of the game, that's where I took pride in. And I always tell them, you're the second toughest cover I had there. Was because I was short and stocky and strong, and I'm used to being able to bully everybody. You had strong upper body too, and you had really good footwork. And you're the first dude I've seen from the area that really had that Tim Duncan, Carmelo Anthony footwork, mid-range game. So, and I said that you and Eddie Miller, Pooh Bear, were always the toughest to guard.
Man, that's love, bro. I appreciate that. Look, I'll pay you later for saying that, man. I'll send it in the mail. I appreciate that, bro. That means a lot, man. Real talk, man. Those are some great days, man. Like, I tell people all the time, man, like the Salvation Army, I know they're still doing it now, but man, I love that time. If I could go back in that time, it was great. And you mentioned Eddie Miller. A little side note, he will be on the show in July. I just confirmed with him a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So he'll be on here too.
High release, quick release. Yeah, it was tough, man. Yeah. And you had the same way. You had that long. Man. You had that tongue, long release. So, by the time I'm coming down, it's just coming. With the knee brace, the old school knee brace.
Everybody bring that knee brace up, man. That knee brace. I was like 4th, 5th grade, man. Yeah, man. That's dope. That's dope. That's cool that you remember that, man. I appreciate that. I like the concept though, because like you said, like, you always talk about travel basketball. You always have travel basketball and AAU, but travel football, is something that you don't always have. And I know I mentioned to you earlier, I know Marvin, what he's doing with the Shorehawks down here on this side, but what you're doing is awesome. And you talked about even a national schedule. How does that's one thing watching you from afar, I always want to know, how are you able to get into that with the schedule? I see you guys travel, I think first game was to Connecticut and I think some other places. Talk about how do you do it? How do you get into that type of schedule?
So, for the most part, for when you, and I gotta explain the, I guess the phrase or the saying that I always live by with it is, you can't run with the wolves at night if you spend all day sparring with the puppies. And what I mean by that is most decent teams are in leagues where you get league play and everything like that. But those animals, those monsters out there, they play independent schedules, just like Notre Dame does in college. And you schedule organization to organization. Those are the guys that we want to play. League play is cool, like we said, but we really want to test our boys, and it's not about wins and losses. For us right now, if they're gaining, if it's gonna propel them to a state championship game in their 11th grade year, because they're not scared of that big kid that they've been hearing about over in Baltimore, because they saw somebody bigger from Alabama. Again, that's what we're shooting for. So that's how you do it, just more or less organization to organization.
Man, that's dope. Because a lot of times you're right, man. It's the mental, it's the psyche. Like I can remember, and you do too, man. Like playing AAU, and it's one thing, like you said, to play against each other and know each other after a while. Because after a while, you know each other, But when you go across that bridge, I remember the first time going across that bridge, playing like Dunbar and that's just Baltimore and DC over there. And you see these cats, they tall. You looking like, man. So like you said, by you doing that early with these kids, man, it's dope because they're going to see this early. So man, by the time they're in high school, it's going to be nothing for them. It's going to be nothing for them, man. So that's awesome. And then one thing I like that you're doing, you're not just putting guys together, and saying, let's go play, but I see the training that you're doing. Talk a little bit about the training aspect, because one thing I tell a lot of my friends we talk about now is that, growing up, we played, but we didn't train. It's a difference between playing and training. Talk about that difference of training and playing.
I learned it from Coach Lawrence when I was in Augusta, Georgia. The proper way to train it, actually, it changed my life. It changed my perspective on things because, like you said, all our friends hoop. So we be outside hooping, but nobody's working on the jab step or anything like that. And once I got to Georgia, I was used to being the best athlete here and getting the ball, being able to do what I want. But when it comes to Georgia, everybody's like that. So what I realized started separating me was watching film or the little technical stuff to how, because like I said, once that athleticism fade, you got to have the technical side of it too. So that's what I saw. Again, I learned in Georgia, and I really just came back, and I was big on that because we don't train here. You get out there and you play. We teach kids holes 2, 4, 6, 8, or 1, 3, 5, 7. Get a ball, run that way. Nobody talks about movements and why you're supposed to cut here or just dropping your hips and stuff like that. So just coming back, I felt like that was important to teach the kids so they know when we go to camps and stuff like that, they're not intimidated when they're getting on the ladder and doing stuff from in front of these coaches because we do it already. So that was the biggest thing, having them prepare for what they're going to see.
Man, that's smart, man. That's smart. Like you said, down south in Georgia and places like that, man, it's different. They live and breathe that football. You know what I mean? Texas and places like that. I seen something, if I'm not mistaken, where I think you said in the fall, I think you said you got like another 120 kids that are signing up for the fall. What's the ages that you've got and the number of coaches you got? Because you guys are growing and you're growing at a rapid rate, which is dope. You know what I mean? Talk a little bit about your age range and stuff.
Yeah, it can, man. Honestly, it's been a little overwhelming. I didn't expect it. I'm not gonna even be like,
you didn't expect it, did you?
I didn't expect it to go so quick. But we start taking them at 3 and 4 years old to train them, just to train them up. We're not gonna play. Once you hit 5, we'll let you play flag football, and then once you hit 6, the training wheels is off. But we've already had you for 2 or 3 years, and you kind of know what's going on. So we start at 3 and we go up to 15. But what we're going to do for the spring, we're going to increase that to 18 because we're going to get like high school 7-on-7 teams. Just like we did with this, we're going to put all the best players from high school teams all on one team and take them 7-on-7 to travel as well.
Wow, man, that's dope, TJ. Man, I tell you, man, again, I salute you. And like you said, Trey, I'm familiar with Trey and a lot of the guys, man. I mean, that takes a lot, to give back, the kids and to the community, man. We're just, like you said, we're paying it forward, because the same, like you said, that when we were kids, they were doing for us, man. You're just taking it to that next level, man. So, that's awesome, man. So hopefully at some point I can, definitely come and check you guys out, and you're doing an awesome thing. And, it's dope. It's dope, man. So definitely, keep up the great work. I seen and this is the last thing about show you, then we'll move on. But I seen the draft you did, where you got everybody kind of dressed up like a banquet. That was a great concept because of the fact that it's not a lot of times that kids get to dress up for anything, let alone stuff like that. So be able to dress up and go to a draft / banquet. Talk a little bit about that concept and where that came from.
Just like I said, now it's a good chance none of these kids will go to the NFL and they get to experience the draft. They have a shot, but more than likely the odds are against it. All of them can go to college and get education. So I just wanted them to have the experience. I wanted them, first off, to, if anybody didn't know how to tie a tie, we had a class on it, kind of giving them those lessons as well. But I wanted them to learn what it was like to dress up and kind of see yourself in a different light. And I know we talked about the draft, but our spring season's over. Now we're going to do it again, but we're having like a ring ceremony, like the like NFL honors type of thing. We got the kids some rings, got ring boxes. So they'll be dressed up again, and they'll be presented those on July 17th. So just more or less about just showing the kids love and having confidence. Once they see themselves looking nice and they get the compliments, you never know what they might be able to go out and do, whether it's finishing writing that report or picking up a book or helping mom clean up at least things. Being confident in one thing, everything translates. I say that. If you can learn a football playbook and you can do the techniques, you can do the same thing in school. And I say everything translates.
You're teaching them, you guys are teaching the right things. Like you say, you're not just teaching them about on the field stuff, but you're teaching them life lessons. And those life lessons are things that they're going to carry with them, for the rest of their life, man. So again, I salute all you guys, man, and I'll definitely be, in contact and definitely keeping my eyes open, for what you guys are doing, man. So that's dope. That's dope. So listen, I want to get into you. I want to get into to TJ Bryant a little bit as far as what you did. You might be able to play this back for the kids, and I'm sure you was out there showing them a little something. I see you out there showing them the footwork and stuff like that, so you might can let them know, what you used to do. I'll put some more articles up too. I don't know if you got to see them on Facebook story. You had to check them out.
Yeah, but, you did your research,
talk a little bit about. Yeah, you seen it? You seen it?
Yeah, I was like, yo, he's thorough. I looked down like I don't even got this. Yeah,
I had to dig in the crates. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's cool though. That's cool. But talk a little bit about growing up. I don't know if you were growing up in Salisbury and who introduced you to sports, because you played a lot of sports. Talk a little bit about that.
I grew up in the Doverdale area. But being honest, and I think part of the reason why I'm big on the coaching part is because I know it's other stuff that comes with it. My mom actually got me in football. I was a little bit of a troubled student. And I just remembered my mom at a parent-teacher conference one time, and she was crying. And she just was like, I don't know what else to do, with her. I mean, I was a little wild, just even being younger. And somebody was like, well, what about sports? Next thing I know, I'm at the Salvation Army back then they used to have the draft for football. And I swear, my mom didn't know nothing about football. I'm up there in a tank top, khaki shorts, and she got brown sandals on me with no socks. So the bottom of your feet sweaty, you can't catch your grip. So that's really where I got into it with that. And then when I came home, and I'm just like, she was like, well, look, she put it on TV, was like, look, this is football. My stepfather was very much in my life, but he was always at work. Especially, at night when he had to take care of the family. So my mom sat me down in front of the TV, and the first game it was on was Monday Night Football. The Dolphins were playing the Jets. And that's why I'm a Dolphins fan, because Dan Marino had like 7 or 8 touchdowns that game. And that's kind of how I learned football, was actually watching. I didn't, that was my mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Shout out to Mom Deuce. Wow, that's dope. Wow, that's a great story, man. I did not know that. And I know football was your first love, and you got into that, and like you said, taught you that discipline and all that. Where did basketball come from? Did that just come also just from being around at the Salvation Army? I know we talked a little bit briefly about that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and naturally just being a good athlete. But the neighborhood I lived in, Doverdale, my next door neighbor was Kyle and Darnell Camper. Like they lived next door.
Say no more. Say no more.
Up the street, we had Dwayne McNeil and Bubby. Up a little bit further, we had the King brothers, Ike, Jamal, Doug, Kurt McNeil. Man. When I would come outside and I would have my football and I'd be messing around with my football, all of them was playing basketball. So I would get over there towards the basketball, and I just kind of, they're my friends. It wasn't more or less like I was in love with basketball. I just enjoyed hanging out with my friends. Because, I like the contact part of it, the setting screens, the boxing out. So it was more or less just being with my friends.
Man, that's dope, man. You talking about some? Well, you made some names there, man. Because look, even when I was researching, I was looking at some of the Salvation Army stuff. I seen you and Kyle on the Salvation Army All Stars, and you dropping 20, and he dropping 20, and like you said, Darnell and all them. Yeah, and me and Dwayne, we always been tight. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And Dwayne was up the block.
Dope.
That's dope. Night each other houses. We had no choice. Like it's 11 o'clock at night. We dribbling the basketball in front of the house. So I really had no choice. Like they were my friends, so that's what we did. So that's how I kind of got into that.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then talk a little bit about the rec ball. I know we talked a little bit about the Salvation Army, but was there anything else that you played, or was it just strictly from Salvation Army? I'm not sure if you played AAU basketball, or was it strictly Salvation Army going into ninth grade high school?
Yeah, I played AAU, and that's another thing with it that prepared me. I didn't know at the time. I played AAU. I was on Coach Danny King's AAU team. So you're talking about Moran Brown, Kyle Camper, Tony Harmon, Pooh Bear, Javon, and then you talk about Virginia, B.A. Walker, Cheyenne. They went to
B.A.
Clemson.
was tough.
Yeah, B.A.
Yeah, B.A. went to
You're talking
VCU.
about Chris Hopkins, Drew Weatherly from Delaware. So you're talking about being loaded up. So that's, and it prepared me, because when I went to WiHi, we were like 3 or 4 deep, 5 deep at running back. What do these kids do today? You go there with competition, you transfer. It wasn't nothing to me. Every practice we competed. Practices with so it wasn't nothing to me. Hey, you gonna leave because who's here? I don't care about who's here. Like, we're gonna go to practice and we're gonna rock. And like best man wins, and I understood that. He instilled it in me early. So yeah. But yeah, I played AAU.
And you know, and that's a perfect, I tell you, we're on the right page. That's a perfect segue about, cause I was gonna ask you about that backfield, man. And I want you to talk specifically about that backfield, because it's one thing, and I want you to talk specifically soon about Valdez. You know, I mean, you know, we remember that name, you know, you and Valdez, but talk about some of those other guys that maybe people might have forgot about, or people might not know about, but talk about just how loaded that backfield was. Because like you said, it was like one of those Alabama backfields. You know what I mean? Where you was loaded. Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
And what people don't realize is that when ninth grade came in, you had probably 10 or 11 running backs in 9th and 10th grade that were coming up through the system. After 9th grade, 3 or 4 of those guys transferred out. From then on, you had Valdez, myself, Sidney Fitzgoy, Brandon DeShields, J.R. Church, Jermichael Mitchell played his senior year. So now you're talking about dudes that could go to, because of course we all had opportunities. I know I did. If between me, Valdez, and Sidney, you got 3,000 yard rushers right there, and we could have went to any other school in the Bayside and maybe led the state in rushing. But we all understood what it was to be together, and we got a better chance at winning a state championship together. And we realized, okay, everybody, you know, the numbers are cool, but the recruiters and everybody's going to come. The further you get, the more you win, and things like that. Because no recruiter cares about a kid that's rushing for 300 or 400 yards and y'all getting beat by 40.
Yeah,
so, but that backfield, Valdez Morris is the fastest person I've ever seen in person. And you're coming, like, you know, when it comes to football, I'm very alpha. Like, if you know, I believe everything I say to you is going to be the truth, and my feelings are how Valdez is the fastest football player I've ever seen. Heck of a running back, but just that speed, man, it was just different. And looking back as an adult, it was a pleasure to get to play with that dude.
Yeah, he was a bad boy. You was a bad boy, and then like you said, I forgot about Sidney. That was Sidney, right? I forgot about him. I wasn't all the way familiar with him, but I, you know, refresh my memory. I mean, y'all were deep, man. I mean, the Shield kid. I mean, y'all were deep, man. And the thing about it is, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but that's okay. What you guys did with 5 or 6 carries, where okay, I might get 5 or 6 carries, but I'm getting 100 yards.
That was 5
or 6 carries, like that's
5 or 6. Like, look, I tell you, and Coach Billings, like I said, I love him. He was like, him and Coach Nettles was always honest. They was like, look, it's one football. I'm gonna get y'all some carries. I don't know how many it's gonna be, but it's up to you to do your thing. So I might have 3 carries or 2 carries for like 190 yards, but I didn't get the ball till the middle of the second quarter because Valdez went first, he scored. Fitzroy went next, he scored. Then somebody on the defense scored. So like it was you had 2 to 5 carries and you had to make do. And that's how I say, we're finishing with 2 or 3 carries for almost 200 yards. Imagine if we went to another school and we're getting 20 or 25. But again, it wasn't about the numbers for us. We enjoyed competing with each other in practice, and it pushed us. Because when Valdez scored and it was coming up to my turn, he tapping me on my helmet. Hey, it's your turn to eat, big dog. I got you. I'm blocking. So it was a family thing more than competition. We looked at each other like brothers. So I think that's what made it easy to coexist, and nobody wanted to leave.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, you know, iron sharpens iron, you know, and like you said, it could have been easy for one of you guys to go somewhere and get 20, 25, maybe even 30 carries. But the fact that y'all stayed, made each other better. And there's also a competition thing, too. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day as well, even with your teammate, because like you said, you see Valdez score, hey, I gotta go get mine now. You see Finney score, I gotta go get mine now. Yeah. And a lot of times, even the stuff I was reading, like I realized that it wasn't just one of y'all having a good day and scoring. And that's how I can tell that competitive drive, because you're right, when one scored, the other two scored too, or the other three scored too. You know what I mean? So y'all all was eating.
If you didn't, you wasn't gonna start. If you wasn't gonna start the next week, because that person is bringing the play in behind you, he gonna house it. So when they watching film and they see whoever, you got to give that man an opportunity. So we understood that, so it kept us on our toes. You weren't missing no blocking assignments. It was no fumbles. You get it? Yeah, you had to protect that thing with your life when you get it. Yeah.
Most definitely. And refresh my memory a little bit. And I want you to tell me the biggest difference between, and still on football, your junior year and your senior year. Cause I know y'all senior, y'all were pretty dominant. Your junior year, I know you had a few struggles, but now Miles was the quarterback your junior year, right? Carl Miles. Carl. Yeah. Carl was, who was QB your senior year though? I could not.
My man Willie Webster.
Okay. Willie Webster. Okay. I do remember him. I knew it was Carl, but I knew Carl was a year older. I found that, but I couldn't find out who. Okay. All right. And what would you say was the biggest difference, between your junior year and your senior year, as far as football? Because y'all took it to a whole nother level. It's like your senior year.
The dedication part of it, and me being older and being honest with myself, I know. I relied a lot on just being an athlete all the way up until my senior year. He wasn't getting me in the weight room. I wasn't the best leader. But finally, with the junior season we had and getting that being right there at it, it kind of gnawed at me. And so Valdez and Finney was like, look, like you don't want to feel like this again. We need you in this weight room. So my junior year, I think I finished it I was like 184. When I weighed in for my senior year, I was like 196. And I'd been strictly in the weight room. So more or less, I saw the difference in my body. And I think we all did, because we were sectioned a little bit. Like you had, like me, like I said, I wasn't the best leader up until my senior year. And so you had the knuckleheads that were athletic, and then you had the guys that realized why they were there. And I think that's what kept us from winning. My junior year, we were separated. But senior year, everybody came together, and it was really, really dope. Everybody bought in.
I got you. And we're just talking about right now one side of the ball, which you was a running back, but you also played the defensive end and made the coaches all defensive team for cornerback. And I don't know if you played another position besides cornerback, but talk about the defensive side of the ball, because you was doing that at a high level too, man. So
yeah, well, it was just wanting to compete, and the same thing with basketball, like. I'm fine with not scoring 20 points if I get to guard the guy on the other team that scores 20 points and he only get 10.
Yeah, you like that.
Same thing with football. Like, okay, I don't got the best back pedal and the best technique, but you can put me out there on that island, coach, and like we good over here. So I took pride in that. Like the defense, not letting you get off a jam, not letting you catch a ball, and just tackling, just being physical. So I didn't play anything else outside of corner because of my speed, but it was just the love to compete.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that, because like you said, you made the Bayside coaches team, first team defense for cornerbacks. I mean, that's major. And then running back, second team, if I'm not mistaken, for that position. Obviously, I think Valdez was player of the year offensive. But then wasn't Sydney defense?
Sydney was the defense. Yep, Sydney, our whole team.
That was crazy, man.
and with the corner thing, I think I might have led the Bayside in picks. But what it was, I don't know if you remember Drew Weatherly from Sussex Central. He was like 6'4".
I remember the name.
Had the 40-inch vertical. He was going to Maryland. He was averaging like 150 yards receiving a game. He came there and I guarded him straight man-to-man. You got to figure, I don't know how many scouts were there, but it was man-to-man at the stadium. He finished with one catch for 7 yards. And they threw at him like 6 times. And so I think that's what kind of started that year. Then I had some picks to back it up. But it wasn't, he was probably a better athlete than I was, but it was just about the competitiveness. Like, I don't care if there's nobody in here, you're not going to embarrass me. And then you tack on the 2,000 people up there watching. Nah, ain't about to happen.
Exactly.
Ain't about to happen. Yeah,
exactly.
Ain't about to happen. So.
Yeah, exactly. Man, that's the was it anybody and we'll get right to basketball. Was it anybody from a football perspective? I know you talked about, obviously you're a great running back, great cornerback. During that time, was it anybody that you watched as far as a running back or a cornerback? And when I say watch, it could be someone in the NFL, it could be someone in the Bayside, it could be someone that was older than you. Anybody you watch at those positions, or you just pick them up?
Absolutely. Or? No, as a corner, my second favorite football player all time is Charles Woodson. That's the reason I wore number 2.
That's it.
When he won the I was at. So
that.
I was on that. That's there. But for running back, I actually had 2. One local, one college and NFL. I kind of patterned my running style after Edgerrin James from Miami.
Come on, man. That's why I became a Colts fan.
Yeah, that was my style. Okay, I'm not the fastest, but I'm fast for my size, and I can cut on the dime. So I watched a lot of him. The other one was local, was actually Jeff Smiley from Bennett.
I remember that name. Yeah. I don't think I've seen him. I remember that name though.
Straight animal. Yeah. Running hard, dragging dudes. And I didn't look up to many people around, when I was around here coming up. But him, I did. If I made sure I go watch his games.
Wow, man. Yeah, I was wondering about that. Because, a lot of times it's normally, somebody that you, kind of pattern your game after and all that. And I seen it too with Charles Woodson. So I actually should have known that. But man, that's dope. That's dope. Do you remember the and you can tell me maybe how this came about, because we talked about how you, and I know I said this is the last football question, but this one really is. I know you talked about how you guys had to share a carry, but you had a 5 touchdown game. How did that come about? Because it was, you know what I mean? You kept going. Like, what happened with that?
and I'll tell you a funny story. First off, it was super hot that day, and my wife. That's actually the first time I saw my wife. Was that game? Wow. We didn't, married years later, but she remembered it too. Right. I had like 3 rushing touchdowns. I returned the kickoff, and I picked one off.
Started the kickoff and picked one off. Yeah.
Every week, everybody had their days, so it was one of them days.
Yeah, man. Like you said, man, it's just crazy, man. Like, I could get into more detail. I don't want to bore anybody, but just as far as the running y'all did, man, and like, I'm not talking about you got a touchdown for 2 yards, and y'all breaking it for 35 yards, for 50 yards, for 50. It was just amazing. Even reading it and refreshing my memory on a lot of stuff, and also some stuff I didn't know, which was cool, man. So I appreciate you sharing that. Switching to basketball, to that sport, we talked about obviously playing against each other at the Salvation Army and stuff like that. And I joked about the East and WiHi game that we'll get into as well, our senior year. But talk about what was your mentality, knowing, okay, you're seeing, you're coming in, Bubby them, and they just won the states. They went 20-0. You guys are coming in. Basically, Kyle's the only one remaining. I know they had another kid
Moran,
too,
Kyle
but
Moran.
Kyle Moran. Well, actually, excuse me, of course Moran, but actually I think it was another guy. I don't think he played that much. Can't remember his name.
Red.
But thank you. Yeah. But yeah, Kyle Moran obviously had been there. Kyle was starting. Obviously that whole year before, Moran was key off the bench. But then you got guys coming in like you and Dwayne. What was your mentality, going into that senior season?
The same thing. We had played AAU together, coming up for years. So it was just it was our turn. It was just our turn, And just like with AAU, when you get in, when it's your turn, you make sure you do your thing. If not, you coming back and sit on the bench. And Kyle was a very good leader our senior year, and you could tell he had been there, so he was pushing. It was hard for me to dedicate, because he wanted you to get up, everybody to be at the park in the morning and play basketball. And it was hard for me my senior year because I had committed to football. And so I'm in the weight room and stuff like that and getting ready. But it was just more or less, it was our turn, and don't mess up. Don't mess it up, because what's set up.
Yeah. And that's right. Even I forgot Valdez played too. He played basketball too. So he had him on there as well. But now that you say that, though, even thinking back, it makes sense, because we're looking at like, okay, all those guys are gone. We know Kyle's there, but like you said, you guys have been playing together for so long that you guys knew where each other was going to be. You guys knew how to play with each other, and you guys didn't miss a beat. I'm sitting here, I looked at an article that the Daily Times had posted about, it said pieces to the puzzle, about how you guys came in and knew your role and contributed, to that team. And again, you guys didn't miss a beat, at all. That's what was impressive to me. You guys really didn't miss a beat, at all. I think the only competition you had over in the South, obviously you had Pocomoke, and the South's always tough, don't get me wrong, but you had Pocomoke, and then I know in the playoffs, you end up you played Bennett and lost. That's who we lost to as well. John Holmes and those boys, Big Steve, Perham, those guys, Cornell. But that was the interesting part. Yeah, that you guys didn't miss a beat at all, with that team. I do want to get to the Eastern WiHi game, and again, I don't know if you remember a lot about that game, but
I do. I was nervous.
We were on. You do remember? You were nervous. I can't tell.
I was nervous. I was nervous because I was looking. I in the front. We was coming in. We was like, yeah, we gonna do. I think we played Aberdeen the next game after. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna come through. It's Eastern. We know how we do. Y'all was on something that day. God, the shots was going down, and I started getting a little tight. I'm like, yo, it's closer than it should be. So yeah, I remember.
But that's and the crazy thing is, because see, I don't know if you remember, even going back a little bit, because we were missing. They had took our games for some crazy stuff. So try to say we had an ineligible player. So Gary Somerville, he actually couldn't even play.
Yes.
But we were still on like a 7-game winning streak coming in. We didn't even lose anybody, even though he couldn't play. So we were basically going in undefeated against y'all. And for me, that was a measuring stick game because, I hated Kyle because he was so good. You know what I mean? So I knew what was in front of me with Kyle. And I always say, even to this day, I think I came out in that game a little bit wrong. And the reason is y'all had Moran, obviously, which a beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we had right, yes sir, Chico. We had a 6'8", 6'9" guy, Derek Cannon. I don't know if you remember our big. We had a big too.
I do remember him.
So my mentality was, okay, let me get him involved to go at Moran to try to get Moran out of there. But bro, Moran wasn't having it. Moran wasn't having it. So I passed up a couple shots, trying to get him involved, and I got myself kind of out of the game, trying to be too much of a pass first guy. But you the one broke the game open, and that's what messed up. I should have came out aggressive.
Yeah,
I should have came out aggressive.
We were the whole time was you in practice, and I remember he coming out, and I didn't know. I was like, yo, I don't know what's up with him. Maybe he hurt. Because you kept giving it to the big yo in there. And I was like, that's dead. But he kept dead. But when you kind of made it easy for us, like I'm like, yo, if he get out here and he start throwing that flame, man, look, it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day. So when he was passing, I'm like, cool. I'm like, cool, okay.
And what's crazy? I got that tape. So that's why it's fresh to me because I think last time I watched it was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, but I got it around here somewhere. I got that tape. So I was even looking, I said, man, I passed up a lot of shots. So then what happened was, even with me kind of being a pass first guy, Cabby got going a little bit, our shooter. And, it was a close game. But then in the second half, I never forget. I know right where you was at and everything. You was on the right baseline corner. And I think we went zone at that point. And you hit one. I said, okay, hit one. All right, hey, you got to get over there on that wing. Then you hit another one. I say, all right, now he hit 2 of them. And I think you ended up hitting like 4, you hit at least 4 threes that game, at least. And I meant to look that up before I got on here, but I know you hit at least 4 threes. But is there anything else you remember about that game, man? Because you caught fire.
Yeah, well, like I said, I lived next door to Kyle. So, Kyle's a coach on the floor, and my basketball idols were different cats. Ron Artest, Bruce Bowen, Raja Bell.
Yeah, that was you.
So I knew my job. Like, you play defense and you go give the scorer as much space as possible, and if you open, you shoot it. So that's all it strictly was. And I shot that shot 100 times playing it over there with Kyle, letting him do his thing, trying to give him space. He kick it to me, and it was just, I didn't know it at the time, but when we were outside and I'd be shooting that shot constantly, it was preparing me for that moment. because I mean, we go to Doverdale, I'm on Kyle's team. I'm pick and pop, or I'm just sitting in the corner. So honestly, it was just second nature to me. And get it, shoot it. I mean,
and you was letting that thing fly. And it's not like I didn't know you could shoot, but sometimes you're trying to tell one person about, they worried about Kyle. You got the winning thing. He didn't want to top the key. Then you got hot. I'm like, oh man, you know what I mean? So, but that's what I remember. That's what I remember about that. And there is another one when we get off there. I got a post where you were the male athlete. You probably can't see this, but you were the male athlete of the week. I don't know if you remember this against Ken Island.
Yeah, my mom.
You had 20 points, 11 rebounds.
I had a do-rag going in the paper, the picture. My mom.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you did. Yeah. Me, that's how we did when we was in high school, man. I used to have a do-rag on every day, man. Every day. Every day, man. Yeah.
It was a confidence thing though with the player of the week my senior year, because I knew coming from AAU, I knew whose role I was filling, which was Jermichael's.
Right.
Energy guy, play defense, and things like that. And that's what I did. And the ball was just finding me. You get open shots and you just hit it. Everybody that stepped up for somebody that was gone was replacing somebody they had already been replacing for 3 or 4 years from AAU. Like when Kyle, when Bubby and those guys graduated, we had already been their backups. So we already knew what role they were. So that's all it was. It was just, right place, right time.
Yeah. Which loss was hurt the most? And I didn't touch about football, but I know that senior, y'all had a great year. You guys lost to Jocktown.
That was junior year,
and then that was junior year Jocktown. Who y'all lose to senior year?
Middletown was senior year.
Middletown. Oh yeah, they was tough. Middletown always had a nice squad too. Yeah. Because it's crazy. Because I just found out a couple years ago, Chris Godwin from Middletown. Yeah. Chris Godwin from Middletown. So yeah, they always got talent. But your senior year basketball, was that loss harder than the football, or what would you say? Or is it hard to kind of weigh them? As far as what hurt the most.
Well, the worst football loss I ever took was my junior year was the Jocktown, because I felt like the senior year we lost to Middletown. It was raining. It was muddy. Our team was basically steep.
Okay.
So once it was raining, it was muddy. Like it wasn't that for me. But my the toughest. Well, the crazy thing is, I didn't lose a basketball game at WiHi until my senior year.
I know you did, because y'all was beating everybody else in JV. Yeah.
The toughest. Yeah. It was Bennett at the States. It was Bennett. The game. UMES to go to States. Kyle Moran were in foul trouble, and I just remember guarding Cornell, and I don't know if I was sluggish or what, but he got hot, hit a couple shots, and so that one just sticks with me, because I know my brothers were in foul trouble, and I was supposed to step up, and I didn't in that moment, because Valdez was coming back from injury. So it wasn't really, couldn't expect too much. So yeah, that was the toughest loss, was the senior year to Bennett, and then junior year for football.
And then junior year, okay. Now I appreciate you saying that, because I know with us, we lost to Bennett. See, we ended up getting Gary back. Remember I told you we didn't have him against y'all, but we lost Derek. We lost our 6'9" guy. So we only got to play together as a whole team for like 7 games that whole year, but we still only lost 4, and 3 of them was to the South. We lost to y'all, we lost to Bennett in the playoffs. Let me see, we beat Snow Hill because Evan was on there. Oh, we lost to Chrisfield. That was the third team. We lost to Chrisfield. They were tough that year too. They were Chrisfield was always scrappy. Yeah, scrappy, man. Collins. Chris. We went down there. It's tough going to Chrisfield to play. Yeah. We got that long ride.
That small gym. It's one way in, one way out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we lost to that, and then we just lost one earlier in the year, like second year of the year to Cambridge. But I was wondering about that Bennett, y'all, and I didn't get to see that game, when y'all played, but I like that seeing that matchup. What was do you remember what the score was, or how? I'm sure you know that score. Was it close the whole time?
Yeah, it was close the whole time. We lost by 2.
I didn't know it was that close.
Yeah, we lost by 2, but Moran might have even fouled out, or maybe Kyle fouled out. So Maybe both of them fouled out. So instead of playing for overtime, we were going for the win. And Valdez, they swung the ball to Valdez, and I was at the top of the key waiting. And Valdez, like I said, it just came back from injury. So he had a knee brace on. And when he went to make the little swing through move, he slipped, and the ball rolled out, and that's how time ran out. So, yeah, we lost by 2 points.
Got you, man. Almost went back, but yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. I didn't know that, man. I appreciate you letting me know and again what your toughest loss was and everything, like that. Cool. So what was your I know you talked a little bit about being so dedicated to football that not that it took away from basketball, but like you said, when Kyle was trying to get you in the morning to play, you was getting ready. And you talked about Georgia as well. What was your plan after high school? Talk a little bit about that, even for kids that might be listening, as far as
absolutely.
Your plan after that. Yep.
Well, naturally, I wasn't really well informed. Nobody knew at the time, but I figured, hey, I'm pretty good. Somebody's gonna get me into college. I'm being invited into all these camps. Ray Lewis's little brother, Keon Lattimore, Barrington Edwards, the kid that went to LSU, Marcus Mason, that ended up playing for the Redskins. I roomed with Vernon Davis when we were at the University of Maryland camp.
Oh, wow.
So I'm figuring like, okay, like, something is about to jump. And then when they see the football film and they want to know more about the grades, it went from me having coaches calling and doing everything and having me come out to their campus to now nobody returning my phone calls. Everything dropped once they checked the grades. And that's something I wasn't informed about. All I knew was you needed a 1.6 to be eligible to play sports. I didn't know you needed a 2.5, 3.0 to be able to accept. So, that was me on my part. So I didn't have many options I did. They wanted me to go to JUCO, and I just knew. And my sister at the time, she had cancer, and my sister just passed away at that time. So I knew I wasn't in the right headspace to where if I went to college and I wasn't playing, I wasn't staying. So my next thing was send some film around, and arena coach Coach Lawrence ended up replying. I saw, their team and everything invited me out there. So I went up there and did that for about 4 years.
Wow. How was that whole experience? Was that your, obviously first, going to Georgia, so being away, from everybody, but then, wow, arena football, man, how was that experience for you, man?
It was good. And I think it helped because you get a lot of people sometimes around here to where if it stops at high school for them, they always have that what if, or I would have been that, or I don't have that because I went to Georgia and it was tough for me at first. And these were legit dudes, played D1, some ex-pro dudes, and I ended up starting, after my first year. Wow. And so I know I was like, okay, I compete. I just didn't take care of the school part. That's on me. But I didn't have the what if, like, dang, what happened if I would have, I went down there and I was like, okay, I can keep up athletically. And so now I know with my kids, that's why I preach education. It doesn't matter how good you are. Yeah. I could have been the best in the Maryland, but that kid with the 3.0 GPA that got 10 less touchdowns than me, he's the one that got the scholarship because he took care of business. And so,
And that's and that's why I said, man, I love what you're doing and what your team is doing, because you're teaching life lesson. That's a perfect example about how something that affected you as a child, you're trying to make sure that doesn't affect the next child. And you're letting them know, hey, I could have went maybe X, Y, Z, but I didn't know. Now I know, so I'm trying to help you, and I'm sure you've had those conversations with the parents, stuff like that. Because you're right, man. I didn't know, we didn't know that. Like, what I'm saying? I didn't know what you had to have. Like, what I'm saying? It just wasn't, it was nothing.
We weren't going to camp. We weren't going to camp.
Yeah.
We were just hooping. Go to your tournaments, and that was it. I didn't know. It's not what you know, it's who you know to a degree, or the relationships you build, or if you're not that good, as long as you got the grades, or if you are really good, you better be super good if you don't got the grade. Like, I didn't know that. Different things like that. So like I said, but it's on me at the end of the day. School's free. That's the only thing my parents asked me to take care of. I ain't have to pay no rent. So that's on me. So,
Yeah. That's what's up though, man. Like I said, you passing those things on. And what did they have you on? What position did they have you playing in Georgia? What were you playing? Offense, defense?
Just offense, running back.
You were still running that thing. You were still running that thing.
That's what they said. When I told them I was a Dolphins fan for the longest time, they were calling me Miami. They thought I was from there because I get it. Ain't no moves.
Yeah.
We just going straight into it. And so I just straight played offense.
Yeah, you was a strong, stocky cat too. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you was by that time too.
Yeah. You got to figure I'm like 215, but I'm solid. So they were like,
you were solid, man.
Down south, and I'm dark skinned. So they're like, he's Haitian. He's from dark. So like,
Edward James all day. Edward James all day. You know what I'm saying?
That's all I would wear would be the U jerseys. That's why Short United has that logo. Is because I'm a huge like Edgerrin James, Sean Taylor, Antrell Roll, Jeremy Shockey, Ken Dorsey, all those. That's where I came up, and like the mindset of not transferring is because like I'm watching these dudes wait their turn, and that's where I grew up was on the U. Yep.
Man, that's crazy, man. That's dope. I didn't know that. Man. That's dope. That's a dope story. Man, Real Sports Fan Podcast here, man. Here with TJ Bryant. Man, it's been a great conversation talking about Shore U, talking about his great high school career, basketball and football. We're gonna get into some right now topics. I know a lot of you might see this after the fact. Some of you might be tuned in to the playoffs right now and stuff like that. So you might see this after. But I do want to get into some football and into some basketball. I want to get into actually the football first. Big trade just happened. Julio Jones. They were talking at one point, about Seattle and maybe Baltimore and Tennessee ends up being that team. As a Colts fan, it hurts me. It hurts my heart because I figured we could really run away with that division now with Julio on one side. I love AJ Brown. I had him last year on fantasy and he killed. He killed for me in fantasy.
Yeah.
And then you got that big guy at the running back position, Mr. Henry, so it's like picking poison. And what's your thoughts on that deal?
I think on paper, it's a great trade, but I wouldn't trade for a 32-year-old wide receiver without a top 5 defense. Is my thought process. Like I said, the Colts weren't problem. I'd have liked to see them go to San Diego, Baltimore, somewhere like that because right, we all know Ryan Tannehill is an up and down quarterback, and him not being one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, you're still going to rely on Henry. Now, what if they got him bottled up, down by 14 points? And I get it. You can go into a shootout with your 2 receivers, but who can you stop? So you always so that. Like I said, I think it looks good on paper, but I don't think it moves them into the next tier as far as these guys are Super Bowl contenders. Now, if he had went to the Colts with DeForest Buckner, Leonard back there. I think you guys still got Hooker back there on the back end. I like that.
Who's going to win that thing?
Yeah, I like it better because you got a defense, but now you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket and want to have a highlight offense, but we all know defense wins championships. So
that's a great point. Yeah. I'm sorry, I mean cut you off.
You're fine.
That's a great point that you said, and that's why I want to get your perspective because you live and breathe football and you look at it different than some other people I might talk to because exactly what you said is the exact thing. I only heard a piece of it this morning. Ron Clark, he kind of said something similar. That it looks good on paper. He said, but who they going to stop? He said they still got to stop people. So as a Colts fan, it made me feel good hearing that this morning. It made me feel even better hearing it from you because I've heard that a couple of times now that, it looks good on paper. And a great point you made about Tannehill because a lot of people aren't talking about that. I know Tannehill, he's better than he was, in Miami.
Yeah.
He's better than he was in Miami, but he still has that tendency sometimes to, throw a pick here or there or get a little happy feet and, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So he still has to get the ball, to those guys as well, man. So, that's a great point you made.
And when you're having shootouts, you can't afford those, happy feet or I accidentally threw a touchdown. If you're going to score for score, you can't have that or, I won't score once. So that's like I said, defense.
Right. That's right. And another football topic I wanted to ask you about is Mr. Rodgers, Mr. Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I got a friend of mine, a big Green Bay fan, and we were debating a couple weeks ago as far as I know football is different than basketball, as far as what you can and can't do, and as far as the power of the players. But it seems like the NFL players are getting more power. And if it's anybody that would sit out, don't you think it would be Aaron Rodgers? Or what do you think is going to happen with that situation as far as him in Green Bay?
Well, I would say that, yeah, because, and not to get into the personal stuff, but some of the stuff that you know about Aaron Rodgers, like how he can go without talking to important people when he gets set in his mind, lets me know that he would be probably willing to do this, but it also lets me, like, how many people will walk away from $35 million, but then you go back to, listen, I love my mama. So I'm not about to stop talking to her for nothing. So for him to have went years without talking to his parents, let me know, he may be the dude to do it.
Yeah. That's a good point. I forgot about that's a good point.
Yeah, like your brothers. I mean, I'd like to see him in I'd like the two places. I know New Orleans can't afford him, but him and Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. But I also like him in Denver. With Judy Sutton.
I like that.
Simmons, I think, is the best safety in football. So he has a defense over there. Noah Fant at tight end. Melvin Ingram still back. Like he'd have some. Denver. Then now him going to Denver puts Denver in the conversation to go to the Super Bowl more than Julio going to Tennessee.
I like that. I haven't heard Denver. I like that. You're right. That would be good. That would be a good quarterback. Yeah. That's all they miss. And poor John Elway. I mean, basically since Peyton left, got that Super Bowl, he's been looking for somebody. Basically since then. So that would definitely shore that up. Awesome. And then as far as my last football part, let me get to basketball. I got to ask you about your Dolphins, man. Y'all had a great year last year, man, and the way y'all were doing it with the whole Fitzmagic and Tua thing, and one started, one went in. It was very interesting, but you guys made it work and had a great year. Real close to making the playoffs. Are you sold on Tua? Is really what I want to know, because if you're sold, what you tell me about Tua really was going to let me know about what you think about y'all season coming up.
Well, we had a good season last year, just like I just told you about the Julio trade. Defense won championships. We've got the best. We've got the best corner tandem in the league with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones.
Yep.
The cover up there. Yep. But no, I'm not sold on Tua. From what I saw, like, first off, he didn't want to make a mistake, so he's holding on to the ball too long.
Yeah.
And just his like. And when all else fails, you got your foundation. Like everything else is going wrong in your life and everything else, you got your foundation that you was raised on. And his foundation I don't like, because he had happy feet. A lot of people stay technical back there and whatever else going on, their elbows up, they're following through. He was out there playing backyard football a couple of times. And at a young age, it's something different when you're Aaron Rodgers' age or you're Ryan, when you're trying to make a play. He looked genuinely scared. So I'm still hoping we trade for Deshaun Watson. And I hope he makes me look bad with these comments and has a great year. But just as a fan, and I'm just not. Like I said, I'd rather have Deshaun.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. With that, I know a lot of people are monitoring that Deshaun Watson situation as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, if that worked out and y'all got Deshaun Watson, oh my God, I mean, that would be crazy. With that, like you said, with that defense y'all got. Even and with the running backs y'all got, I mean, you got Gaskin, and then y'all get Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown. Ahmed.
We had
Waddle.
Gesicki's there. We got some pieces.
So you guys got pieces.
It's the quarterback. Now it's all on the quarterback, and that's why I'm just like, I think we're gonna see what type of mistake we made him being the fifth pick, because we got everything else. There's no excuse. So now I'm like, but you don't want to see it as a fan of the team. And like I said, I hope he proves me wrong. I just, he grew a beard in the off season. That doesn't impress me. I mean, like, come out there and throw the football. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's one of them things. If he doesn't pan out, you'll be going back thinking about, guys you could have grabbed. I can't think off the top of my head, who went after that. Thank you. Oh man, Justin Herbert, man, what a year he had. Oh my God.
Herbert.
Yeah. So Justin Herbert, and I think you guys, didn't Jacoby Brissett sign with y'all in the off season?
Yeah.
Don't talk about Jacoby. Yeah. So I mean, if you needed to use him, but I mean, I like Jacoby, but I wasn't sold on Jacoby to give him the keys and be like,
Yeah,
here you
he's a good
go. So,
backup.
you know what I
You
mean?
need to fill in a game
Yeah,
or
he is,
two.
though. He's a good
Perfect.
backup. Yeah. Yep, for sure. Cool, man. So we hit the NFL, man, and then before I get you out of here, I gotta hit the NBA.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on the playoffs? I guess first we'll start back as far as what happened last week with the Lakers losing. AD hurt, trying to play. I don't even know why they have him trying to play, man. Man, groin injury. I mean, you can't do nothing with that, man. So what's your thoughts on the Lakers losing? And do you think that they can come back, next year at LeBron's age and try to compete again?
LeBron's LeBron, so I'm not about to disrespect him. And no, he's not Kobe. No, he's not Jordan, but he is LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, they're all great in their way, so I'm not gonna bet against them. But I lean more towards his second star and his supporting cast. I can't trust AD to stay healthy. I think they got one championship out the bubble. I think they need to be happy with that because I think now you just need a big three, and I think the Nets are showing that now with James Harden being hurt. That would derail most teams. What you saw, KD and Kyrie still go out and ball out. So AD got hurt. Yeah. Who's LeBron got? Schroeder?
Good point.
So I just feel like they need to do something to bring another star in, like maybe like Dame. I just don't see it happen, though. I don't think nobody wants to play with LeBron. Now, he's getting older, so they know he's coming down. Getting older. But like I said, I wouldn't bet against him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sneak out another finals at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of things that was interesting because when you talked about the big three, I even kind of forgot until I was watching Kawhi kill Dallas these last 2 games that Kawhi was close to going there, and that could have been their big three. Can you imagine that big three, LeBron, Kawhi, and AD, how they could have matched up and played against Harden, Durant, and Kyrie? Oh, man, that would have been crazy. And then your point about Dennis Schroeder, he said he didn't do it, but all the reports say he turned down $90 million. And the whole season, all he's talking, and I knew that was going to be a problem. The whole season, all you hear him talk about is his contract. And most times when you play with LeBron, it's all about winning. But he's the one guy. I mean, he talked about his contract. He even talked about, and I know LeBron didn't like that. He was the only one that didn't get the COVID shot, and that got out somehow. Like, you know what I mean? So it was a lot of stuff, in that locker room, and obviously even going back to, letting JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, especially letting Dwight go, and guys like that. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. But you got a good point about AD. He's got to stay healthy, and it's crazy because, obviously I'm a D-Wade fan, but, LeBron left Miami a little early because of D-Wade injury history, and D-Wade ended up being good after that. But now he's with a guy that really is injury-prone, so it's going to be interesting. Yeah,
I think LeBron blew his shot. He blew a shot with that. He had a chance to pick his co-star in the third one, and now because of COVID, the salary cap is so messed up that no teams are going to be able to fill the big three. So Brooklyn's kind of in there by default.
Man, I tell you, and segue into Brooklyn, like you said, they're playing now. They didn't miss a beat, without Harden. I know Milwaukee's, they got the matchups for them, but I was telling a buddy of mine, he thinks Milwaukee's going to win. I said, I still actually got Brooklyn in 6, even if Harden don't play a game, because as long as KD's there, to me, they're good. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm a huge KD fan. I think KD's the best player in the NBA. He just can do everything. At his size and the shot, he can get it over you. And I'm gonna give him a gentleman's sweep. I got Brooklyn at 5. Because I think
I wouldn't be surprised.
I just think like they're gonna want to send a message. You got focus Kyrie and focus KD, and they just gonna it's an opportunity for them to let the league know that they're here and that is theirs to say, because what team do you have coming up that's going to be able to rival them? Like, they got a chance to pair up and go. Everybody essentially is going to have to run it back. Barnes and Trey, I'm talking about Bradley Beal, and you get Clay back, with Bradley Beal being the really only toss-up. So I got
the only toss-up. Can I know Philly lost to Atlanta yesterday. Can they compete and beat Brooklyn, Philly, a healthy Philly team? Or you think they still don't have enough?
No, they don't got no 3-point shooting. I know they have Seth there that lights it up, but Ben Simmons, man, and I think he's a great defender. Yeah, but not having the threat of a jumper, and then Tobias Harris kind of being like iffy sometimes. Like as a
In and
defender,
out.
you can kind of pack it in on Embiid.
Yeah.
Like, because whoever's guarding Ben Simmons, you double Embiid. Don't rotate over to Simmons. Make him shoot it, pack the lane, stuff like. So it's almost like a handicap. So I think they're going to be really, really good. But when they'll take the next step is when he spends the summer and gets a jump shot.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, Ben does a lot that don't show up in the stat sheet, and he does a lot to impact the game. But I do agree that he does. It's not even about all the time making it. Just he's got to keep him honest and shoot the ball. And he won't even shoot it. He won't even shoot it.
No, he won't.
So you got to shoot the basketball to keep him honest. And but I'm one of those guys that I've said in the past that if he gets a jump shot, he could be an MVP candidate. Not that the defensive player of the year can like he is now, but that's all he's missing. He does everything else.
That's it.
So
it's the jump shot.
Yeah, that's it.
6'10" with that, and you can shoot. Nobody's doing nothing with that. You see what Michael Porter Jr. is doing, and he doesn't have the quickness that Simmons got.
No point.
He had back surgery, been down a year and a half, and now he coming back. He tortured everybody. Can't teach that side.
Man, he tortured everybody.
Yeah, he got a jumper.
Yep. And that's crazy, man, because someone has said like it kind of course you don't want to see Jamal Murray get hurt because they could have really had a legitimate chance to win this year. With Lakers down. But I think what that does for them though is Michael Porter next year slides into that number 2 guard. And when Jamal Murray comes back, you really got a legitimate big 3 now in Denver. You know what I mean?
They got Aaron Gordon. They got Aaron Gordon there too.
They got Aaron Gordon. Even
if they got 4 stars, you mix them together, that's a big 3. And when somebody Denver has one. You're right. Denver has one. Denver has one.
It's gonna be interesting. Who do you have coming out? I know we talked about the East with Brooklyn, but who you have coming out the West? Obviously, you got Phoenix, and Phoenix starts tonight. I think they play at 10 or 10:30. You got Utah, Donovan Mitchell, my boy D. Mitch.
Yeah, I got Utah coming out, and where I think the difference is going to be Joe Ingles, the 3-point guy.
I like that. Yeah.
I just think he's going to torch. And Donovan Mitchell, I just think he's going to go on one of them tears to where he's averaging 30 or 40 because, yes, Kawhi straps up, but Donovan Mitchell's a different type of animal. And you're trying to go play offense
he's different
the
than
whole
Luka.
time. Mike Conley, and then you got Gobert down there. So I like Utah.
Yeah. I like that. That's kind of a buddy of mine earlier that was over here because he was saying the Clippers. And Clippers, I think, depth-wise, they definitely have. You just don't never know what's up here with the Clippers. But when you look at Utah, and you mentioned a couple of them, Rudy Gobert, obviously defensive player of the year. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell, big fan of. Obviously reminds me a lot of D Wade. This has a better 3-point shot. Jordan Clarkson, Bogdanovic that we didn't mention because you got Ingles and Bogdanovic. They can both shoot. Mike Conley. So they've got everything you need. But I'm rooting for Phoenix just because I like to see Chris Paul, finally get there. Yeah.
But you know why the Clippers won't go? It's because they're supposed to. Now the Lakers are out.
They're pressure.
Lakers are out, and they can relax and be like, okay, we got, and they'll mess around and get swept the next round or something crazy. People expect them.
I had a buddy. I got a brother and a buddy that's Clippers fans, and they were all happy getting. I said, man, y'all happy about getting out the first round? Y'all had Dallas 7 games. They got 1 player on the team. Now y'all gonna go play Utah. They got a whole team. So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. Right. Oh, Luka was killing, man. Luka, man, I tell you, man, he different, man. What he was doing, man, and the way he was scoring and stuff, man, he different, man. He different.
And he's not in shape.
So.
He's not in shape.
Not in shape at all.
That's the scary thing.
Not in shape at all.
Until he gets his man with his footwork and everything, man. This man's beautiful to watch. Like how he creates space without being athletic, man. It's awesome. I love watching him play.
Yeah, same here, man. Only 22 years old. So I after game 5, man, I put him in my top 5 already, man. I said I don't know who else is in it, but I seen enough, man. I seen enough. Yeah, I seen enough. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be interesting, man. But I tell you, man, this has really been a pleasure, man. And like I said, TJ, man, just having you on here, being able to chop it up. You know what I mean? Like these conversations, man. They even through a long day, a Monday, like stuff like this energizes me and makes me feel good, man. I hope you enjoyed it, man, because I definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, man. I mean, before we get off of here, man, just tell us, anything maybe that's up and coming with Shore U that we should look out for, or anybody you want to you might want to shout out or anything like that.
Oh man, just our parent board first, Miss Dawn. Miss Dawn Mills, she's been awesome. Sylvia Obert and Miss Vanessa Williams, all our coaches, man. Anybody I forgot, Damian Miles, Trey, we just thank you guys. And June 19th, we're having our community day. We got like 30 vendors coming out there to sell their stuff. We're having flag football, kickball. We got a free football camp.
Okay.
We got food on the grill coming. Seafood raffle for a bushel of crabs. And we're doing sign-ups for our fall football. So anybody that's interested in playing for Shore United, you can come out June 19th or one of our free training sessions. We do free football training Tuesday and Thursday from 5:30 to 7 at Pemberton Elementary. It doesn't cost you a dime. We got sign-up packets there. So just one of those, 2 events, the 19th especially. It'd be a lot of fun.
Man, I remember seeing that. Where is that community day? Is that on Nella Mill? Where is that?
No, it's 1300 Pemberton Drive. It's at Pemberton Elementary.
Drive.
Yep, and back in the field where we practice. Like I said, man, it's gonna be a lot of stuff going on, man. Some good food. Radio station's gonna be out there doing a live broadcast. So it's really gonna be fun.
Yeah. That's actually what you had to go back and look at the comments. I think Donio from the radio station had said that also about June 19th and about you guys Trey being on the radio and everything and being out there and what you guys are doing. Yeah, man. So
Trey,
like you said, man, what you
dope,
guys are doing, man, is dope. Yeah, you guys, man, like I said, I tip my hat, about what you guys are doing, man. Just keep up the good work. You know what I'm saying? If there's anything I can ever do, let me know and hopefully I might can get out there. I'll check my schedule. Maybe I can just get out there and show my face, just see what y'all doing, man. Y'all doing some awesome things, in the community, man. So, I salute you guys, man. And like I said, man, I appreciate you. Real Sports Fan Podcast. No problem. This is live, and I'll make sure when they go on YouTube, man, I'll send you the link, man. But again, I appreciate you, man. And we'll be in touch, bro, for real.
Awesome,
for sure.
Man. Thank you. Definitely love the show, man.
Yes,
you
sir.
Keep up the great work.
Appreciate it, man. That means a lot, man. Real Sports Fan Podcast. We out of here. TJ Bryant. We out of here. Peace. All right, bro.
All right, man.